Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Power Suite.
Oh, wow.
I'm one of your hosts, Kendra Hayward, and
Lashana Wilder.
y'all, we have a special guest today. If you haven't noticed already, we have Alkema Lewis here today. Y'all give her a round of applause.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me to the space.
Yes, thank you so much for being here today. Today's gonna be fun, y'all. We got so many things to talk about. Alkema Lewis, just to give y'all a brief intro of who Alkema is. First of all, she's phenomenal. We'll start there.
Okay.
And I love her so much. She's one of my best friends in the whole wide world. I love her so much. Known her forever. She's a Columbia College graduate.
Okay.
She also went to all right, so she also went to University of South Carolina as well. But listen, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Columbia College right now.
Oh, they gonna do USC like that, y'all. Y'all said they gonna do
Yes, she did, Shana. She did.
She did go to USC
It's
too,
all
so
good.
you know. Can get some love in this piece too? You know what I'm saying? She get a little love too. But I'm a claimer at Columbia College. She's C-squared, koala girl. Yeah. She's also the founder and owner of Alkema Lewis Consulting, and she has designed this course, y'all. Is called Creating a Highly Effective Team. I took the course, and it inspired us for this entire topic for today. Okay, I'm gonna let Kima give a little bit more information about it later on.
All together. She's gonna get you together.
She's gonna get us all together, okay? Because we need it. We definitely need it. But Alkema, I'm gonna read her bio, and y'all, she's amazing with 20 years of experience in roles such as a classroom teacher, instructional coach, school administrator, a professional development facilitator. Alkema brings an extensive expertise to education, okay? As a leadership consultant and coach, Alkema focuses on equipping leaders and strategies to foster transformative climates and cultures. So, welcome to the space, Alkema Lewis. What?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I do want to shout out, I am a University of South Carolina Columbia alum, and I am a Columbia College alum as well. So just want to make sure that I highlight that in this space. Yes, the best of both worlds. And thank you so much for having me. It is a joy and a pleasure to be in this space today and to share what I'm so passionate about, and that is leadership development, but also making sure that a part of this development phase of leaders is helping them to understand what it means to develop or foster transformational climate and culture inside of the spaces that they're leading in. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So before we get into today's topic, and I'm gonna tell you what it is in a second, but listen, remember last week we told y'all about our surprise, we had merch. Y'all remember that? We had merch. Hey, we got merch. All of us got our merch on. Look. We are so excited, y'all. Check it out. First of all, mine says, I don't know if y'all can see it. I'm gonna stand up so y'all can see it. It says urban. And it says Geechee by design, because I'm urban. Masterclass Network. That's me. I'm excited. Shannon, you want to show yours? What yours say?
I have Elevate Together. All right. Urban Masterclass Network. All right. Y'all better get it.
And of course, I have Urban Gal.
There you go.
Know, you just gotta be from the country to know what that gal means.
Absolutely.
Nobody's saying girl; they saying the gal.
We gal.
We gal. We gal. We gal. So y'all, if y'all haven't done so, yes. And if y'all haven't already, please go to our website, which is urbanmasterclassnetwork.com store. Go to the store tab and you can see all of our merch. We got some new things coming as well. We got some suggestions in the hat. We're gonna jazz it up, y'all. So it's all about community and building and just we're excited. So y'all, please support if you can. It helps us.
But
Absolutely. So,
all right, so what we got today? Kima, what you gonna teach us?
Well, I am going to talk about an aspect of the shared leadership model, and that is functional diversity. I know Kendra brought that up in a space that we were in when I was actually the course that she talked about, and I was talking about how to actually create a highly effective team. And when you are using different leadership models, because I think what people need to understand is that there are various different leadership models that are out there, and I'm not opposed to one over the other. I just shared a specific leadership model in that space, and the functional diversity, that component or characteristic, is a part of the shared leadership model.
So what is functional diversity? What does that mean for those of us who, are not privy to the term?
All right. So functional diversity is when team members bring their diverse skills, knowledge, and expertise that contribute to a collective leadership effort. Now, again, you normally see these in this shared leadership approach or amongst this model where there's no specific leader. Like what you see now in many organizations is a top-down hierarchical model where there's one specific leader and they are managing several different people. With this model, there's no specific leader identified. Everybody's considered a leader on the team. So that's what functional diversity is. But I want to call out the fact that it can work in any space, whether it's a top-down model, whether it's a model where there's no specific identified leader, but this can actually work. It does take some time and some attention to them, some structures and systems that need to be adjusted or need to be created for it to actually work. But it is a great way to identify what people really are experts in, right? And what skill set they bring to a space. So I think that functional diversity is that. I really like it. I think that I've seen it put to use. I've worked on teams where we've used this component where everybody contributed to the work or a project we were doing based on their skill set.
Oh. All right, thanks. So as far as you mentioned, you touched a little bit on the benefits, saying that it kind of highlights those that are involved in the groups. But how could someone use it as an individual or as, someone who is in a group, trying to problem solve, or how would it improve your problem solving in a group?
So let me start here and say this, right? Because I think what happens many times, like when we hear something, I'm guilty of it, right? We just jump and begin to just do things, right? But understanding the why behind something is very important. So just when you think about organizations and you think about teams within an organization, there are people on a team, there are people within that organization. And it's important that you actually know, right, before we begin to execute or implement this actual characteristic, you have to know what people bring to the table, what skill sets, what knowledge, what their expertise is in. This is beyond just me knowing what somebody's favorite football team is or what their favorite type of creamer for their coffee. This is about learning about people's work styles and their personalities, right? Because that's what they're bringing to the workspace. That's what they're bringing to the team every day. So, because implementation is one thing, but being able to handle the things that come up, right? Because I know your work style, because I know your personality style, we can work through conflict. And when you don't know, when you're implementing something that's new and fresh, and you don't have those that the other pieces of information that you need to know about people, that can be a hindrance or an obstacle to something like functional diversity being incorporated into a team space, into an organization or workplace. So first things first, right? So that's number one. Know who your people are. Assess their skill set, assess their knowledge, assess their expertise. And of course, this could change based on the tasks or projects that people are doing, because we have various different skill sets and expertise and knowledge that we bring to the space. But when you think about functional diversity, you're thinking about what skill set is needed for this specific task, what skill set is needed for this specific project that we're doing. So assessing your team. The second thing, when you think about, Sheena, just your question, when you think about how to actually do that around problem solving, you got to have trusting and respectful relationships. Am I willing to problem solve with someone that I don't trust, someone that I don't respect for whatever reason? Possibly not. I'll probably try to find someone else. And if you're having a team, if you have a team and you're working within a team, there has to be trust. There has to be respect. Those relationships have to be built or, around that trust and respect. So, it's not only about, us, being friends outside of work. This is about me and my team, or our team, functioning cohesively, where, I trust that when you tell me you know how to do X, Y, and Z, that's you're expert in that and you're knowledgeable of that you can do it. And you're going to bring that specific skill based on the project or task that we have to do into the space to help us push the work forward. And again, we don't have to be friends outside of the workspace. I just need to be able to trust the fact, and we need to be able to trust each other, that we're clear on your skill set and we're clear on how you're going to bring that skill set or your expertise to benefit us with this project, right?
Yeah.
And then you have respect, that is just, us as a team being able to hold each other's skill sets and knowledge and expertise at high regard, and not not despise the skill set or the knowledge or expertise because we feel threatened. All right, y'all already know. We've been on teams when, somebody's a newbie to the team. They begin to start rattling off, what they're good at,
Right.
and, just running back the resume, right? Running back the things that their impact based on their skill set, right? Folks start getting nervous at the table. We may not be able to see what's going on in their heads, but we see the posture changing, folk rubbing their knees, shifting in seats.
Right.
Yeah.
Start
And it
getting very
happens.
nervous. It does happen. And I've been in spaces, and again, I'm guilty of it too. Like, oh my God, this person's going to take my position. This person's going to take my role. But it wasn't until I learned about this functional diversity aspect that I don't have to be an expert in everything. I don't have to be skilled in everything. I don't have to be the person that is the holder of knowledge on the team. That's a lot of weight to carry. But if there are people on the team that's coming to the space with those egos, that could disrupt the trust, that could disrupt the respect on the team, and disrupt the team from moving the work forward. So you have that relationship piece. There's something called affiliative leadership. I don't know if you all have heard about that, right? But this is where a leader is this is where the leader functions with the lens of relationships first. We have to build these relationships first. And they put a lot in the beginning in making sure that they create systems and structures and things around just building and cultivating relationships, because they know how crucial it is to the success of the team and the success of the organization. So that's the person, honestly, when you are on a team and you're thinking about all right, we know that we got to be solid when it comes to this work. We need to really, 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 think about, how we are functioning. What's the dynamics between all of us? You need to find that person on the team who is going to protect the dynamics of the team, who can see when things are getting out of hand and saying, all right, let me corral everybody together. And of course, having systems and structures in place for how to handle conflict. Because problem solving, let's think about it. I mean, sometimes we're taking a lot of time solving issues as it relates to a relationship, which is hindering the work. So having this person, on the team, to protect the dynamics of these relationships that we're having between the team, so we can have coherence and cohesiveness on that team. It's important to just, secondly, assess the relationships as well. Not only assessing the knowledge of the team, but assessing those relationships. Where are we as a team, as far as our dynamics? What needs to be changed? What do we need to keep the same, or what's actually working? So safe, trusting, respectful relationships is important. So I'm going to pause there because I know I've said a lot, and just give you all an opportunity to just comment.
No, I was just so intrigued by what you were saying, because and my wheels were turning, specifically because our audience, and ourselves included, are full of professionals, right? And a lot of times we are the only ones in the room when it comes to being
Yeah.
minority professionals. So when you
Yes.
start talking about functional diversity and how that could be a benefit, I kind of put myself in that situation as far as growing in leadership, etc. Like, how can I use these skills and tactics to be able to not only stand out, because of course you're going to stand out when you walk in the room, right? You're going to be noticed. And Kendra and I had a conversation a while ago as far as the expectation for minority leaders is at a different standard. I mean,
Yes.
unfortunately, that's just what it is, right?
Right.
And fortunately and unfortunately, but if you're not exemplary, you have to prove yourself to be exemplary. You can't just be average
Mediocre.
in
Yeah.
anything, right? So I think, a lot of what you said, like I said, had my wheels turning as far as how I can, as a professional, utilize some of these skills in groups and in leadership organization. Kendra, have you found yourself also utilizing some of the principles and not realizing it, or maybe realizing it?
Yeah, I think I use it a lot. Because I do, when I think about like building a team and I think about leadership, I always believe that it's good to, like, things that I don't know, I want to find out, like, who knows that and who is the source. And I think in building a team and becoming a leader and an effective leader, it's important to know who to go to, right? Because that's important too, as far when you're building these teams, when you're building trust, when you're building, accountability, those kinds of things. You have to know who the source is. Like, if it's not you, is it your partner? If it's not your partner, like, and I'm saying
Right.
partner because Shannon and I, we do a lot of collaboration together when it comes to just Urban Masterclass Network. But for instance, we wanted to grow in leadership, right? And I knew, okay, who's somebody that knows a lot about a topic, that can help us in sharing the message about leadership in different styles. We contacted you. We were like, hey, what do you think about, Alkema Lewis? She's a coach, she's a consultant, she's a professional developer. And so all of those things were things we had to think about, right? And who's influential, right? Somebody that we will listen to, that others can take the message and grow. When it comes to marketing, it's the same thing. Okay, who's the marketing expert? Like, who do I need to go to? Because it's not me. Like, we need to find out. Now, there's sometimes there's a monetary expectation with that too. Like, I think sometimes in
Yeah.
business leaderships, when you're building a team, you got to be willing to, pay something to get those experts, to get the leadership. And I think when you're growing a business, starting a new venture, your finances might be one of the things that you consider, right?
Definitely.
But
Right.
once you get that, build your network, we have Urban Masterclass Network it's a great place for you to mingle, right? To learn new people, meet new people. I just really knowing who your resource is what I'm trying to get back to. Like, knowing where to go, who has the information, and be willing to listen to that information and implement it. So I would say for me personally, everything you said, like, was spot on. Trust is a major thing because conflict will arise. And
Right.
And then you have to learn like where to lean in. Where do you really lean in to trust somebody? Like what's their strong
That's
suit
a
as
whole
well.
right, a whole totally different dynamic, when you think about trust, right? Like, especially if you're coming to the space, and we're not even going to touch on that. That's a whole different topic that I touch on in other places, where you're bringing your work trauma from other teams, other spaces, into maybe a new space or with a new team, and you are very hesitant about,
Yes.
trusting, right? Or they're saying, we're going to be implementing functional diversity, and you're like, what is that? Or or you're saying, well, we're going to capitalize or maximize on this skill set that you have, but we're going to be doing these relationship building activities. And you're like, okay, that's not my thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen where, a lot of people are like, Alkema, I cannot do that. And, coaching sessions, I have to pull back, off of just pushing them around the work. Before we can even get to the work, let's talk about what happened in that previous workspace. Let's
Yeah.
unlayer this thing so I can help you think about how to navigate in this new space that you're in. Right. So that's a whole different dynamic, right? Karen just talking about that. But
That
just being a
that is
being
so
a
real.
right, that's real. Just being a person of color in a space, and of course, let me call out being a Black person in a space. When you're bringing a lot to the table and a lot to offer, and you're looking like, okay, these people are really, really not maximizing on my potential in this area. And I know I've already told them. That's why I said at the top, assess your team. Because to me, you've assessed my work style. You've assessed my personality style. You know what my skill sets are, what my talents are, my gifts are. You're not using them. You're not taking advantage of them in this workspace, on
Right.
this team.
Right.
So for me, if I know that somebody's not taking advantage of that, I'm gonna go back and we're gonna talk about the relationship. We're gonna go back and talk about, like, I heard you say in the beginning, we were creating these trusting and respectful relationships. You're not respecting my skill set. You're not respecting me enough to utilize what I can bring to enhance your team and enhance this work. Now, we may not get along. We may not, and I'm gonna say get along. We may not agree on everything, right? Because trust and respect is something that we're working toward on the team, or something that we say that we have on the team. I'm going to trust that when I show up, you're not going to be having me doing some craziness that doesn't really magnify what I really can offer, or what I really do, what I really know, right? And a part of this
Well,
functional diversity. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's okay. I think it's a little bit of a delay. But what I want, you touched on something that kind of it kind of ties us back to here. Like, so who benefits really from functional diversity? Who benefits from it?
Everybody's supposed to benefit from it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, you all are calling out. I know I'm not good at marketing either, Kendra. Um, you know, and if
Yeah.
I'm on a team, if the three of us are on a team together, and let's say Shayna is good at marketing, and something is coming in my direction around that, I'm not about to sit here and argue with nobody about some marketing stuff. That's not my expertise. I'm going to defer that to Sheena. That's her expertise. Now, what can happen in this space? How can I benefit from that? Because I'm not skilled at that, I can sit with Sheena. I can learn. She can teach me, because at the end of the day, Sheena might move on to another space. But I want to make sure that I capitalize on that skill set that she has and learn about it, right? So I'm benefiting. And even if I don't capitalize on that skill set, Sheena is going to benefit from me and you. Why? Because we have to be able to assess each other's work. When she comes and says, hey, y'all, can y'all give me feedback on X, Y, and Z? Right? We need to be able to provide effective feedback.
Right.
And hey, this is what we like. Here's some things where, we may have some questions about, can you share? So this is building this relationship. This is building the camaraderie that we have as a team, because now, she's getting feedback. She can trust us again if we give the feedback in a manner where she can receive it. She can trust to come back to us, and we're continuously helping each other be more effective in what we're doing. So when it comes to that end product that we all have a shared responsibility in,
Right.
we can say, oh, we all created.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, my skill set needs to be seen in that. Sheena's skill set needs to be seen in that. And Kendra's skill set need to be seen in that. But here's the thing. We all had a responsibility in completing this project, completing this task to the best of our ability.
You got a couple of things coming into my head. So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about some of the topics that we touched on. Work trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how to work
Mm-hmm.
through that. That kind of intimidation factor, when you come to a room and already expected to, perform at a certain level, and you don't really know these people. And I'm like, because of my past experiences, how do you not let that hold you back as far as being a leader? But the other question I had was, when it comes to that, and understanding where to defer and where, you can perform, I think it takes a lot of emotional awareness, self-awareness, and doing that self-work to work through those traumas to be able to say, I'm really, not the greatest at this, but I want to learn from you. And you're right. These people may move on and do some other project, but I can still become an asset. So
Yes.
as a professional, how do okay, you're going to get them together, Kiva, because I love how you get this. I love how you do this. How would you say you are not utilizing my skill, okay, but not be perceived as the angry Black woman, or not be perceived as the one that is complaining or feeling like, how do I say this? Or not wanting to be perceived as the one that wants to be in the front of the class. You understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
But
Got it.
just expressing, I don't feel like you're using my skill, but still developing a rapport that people will give you the freedom to do so. So get me together and all of these other professionals, because we face this all the time.
We do.
Yeah.
So firstly, number one, let me call out the fact that the mindset, number one, it happens, right? It happens when we're in a workspace and, you are working with some different people that you have not been accustomed to working with before. And so one of the things that I tell people a lot, going with the mindset, I'm not saying don't say anything, but going with the mindset to just sit and listen and observe what you are experiencing in that space. Because you're going to see who are the key players at the table. Just sitting and observing. And of course, those key players are you're the newbie. So of course, they have a lot to demonstrate and show the newbie what they know. And that, of course, you can always come to me if you need anything. So for me, those are really not red flags, but I do keep them in my frontal lobe, right? Because I know I'm going to have to interact with them eventually at some point. But then the next thing is that you're talking about, this trauma. One thing I try not to do is bring again, the person you're seeing today is not the person that you would have seen a couple of years ago, because trauma was all in the space, girl. Trauma. Everything triggered me. But one of the things I had to learn was that these are different people. And even though I'm seeing some of the same qualities and traits that are a little triggering, I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to extend as much grace as possible. if I sense that, the things that I'm producing as far as my work is, getting slaughtered to pieces, but they're not able to provide me any suggestions, then that might not be the person that I need to listen to, or that may not be the person that I need to go back to. But even if that's the only person that I'm working with and they're slaughtering my work to pieces and they're not able to give me any feedback, I come to them with a lot of questions. So you gave me this feedback on X, Y, and Z. Can you share with me what suggestions you would, what can you suggest for improvement to my work? And I just sit and listen. And most of the time, you get like some outlandish response or crickets, because the only thing that they want to do is show you that, you have people in their minds who don't understand leadership. They take the couple leadership boss telling people what to do as the same thing. And that's truly not what leadership is. Leadership is very collaborative, and a part of collaboration is giving people feedback. So when I get feedback and I know I'm coming from a place of this trauma, I stop, I pause, and I ask questions, because I do want to see what is it that you know, and will I be asking you any more questions in the future for feedback, right? And then, so the next thing is, if it comes to a point where you feel like your skill sets, your knowledge, your expertise is not being utilized, I always go back to the job description or the role description, and I'll go back to my interview, and I'll go back to the time where they called me and offered me the job. Because most of the time they'll say, we want to offer you this job because we saw that you were this and you were that, and we believe that you will be an amazing asset to our team, blah, 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 blah. So I remember all of that. And I say, I just want to have a conversation or a discussion around my skill set. And one of the things that I remember in the interview was, and I'll just call something out, that you all create spaces here where people can be collaborative. You create spaces where there's trust and respect, and feedback that we get come with suggestions. That's one thing that I remember from the interview. And I also remember that when I was offered the job, you stated to me that I was a good fit for this job. However, I'm noticing that with this project, because we decided, because with functional diversity, you decide what skill you want to bring to the table. The team collaborates on what skills people are bringing based on what part of the project they're going to do, right? So I'm calling that out to y'all. But when we were working as a team, we decided who's going to do X, Y, and Z. I stated that I was going to, complete this part of the project utilizing my expertise in this, But every time, I just want to call out that every time that it's time for us to show up in these meeting spaces and discuss, our portion of the project and our progression forward, what I'm seeing, my work, or where we are in the project is getting slaughtered to pieces with all of this feedback. And I don't have a problem with feedback. However, no one is able to offer me any solutions to help support with improvement. So can you help me understanding, what it is that I need to do to ensure that my skill set, my knowledge, and my expertise is being effectively used in the workspace or in this team space? You throw the ball back in their court.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect strategy.
I think you hit on a key. You hit on a key point. Like,
told you.
Make sure that is, your level, your expertise is used in the space, because that's why you were there. And that to me is key. Sometimes we get lost in the shuffle, or I see professionals get lost in the shuffle because they're trying to do all the different things. But remembering, I guess individuals have to remember what is your level of expertise when it comes to a certain subject matter. whatever that may be. It, could be operations, it could be, even leadership, motivation. Sometimes you're there because we need a team motivator. That's a hard thing to do.
Exactly.
It's hard to keep people motivated.
That's
You
a
can
tough
keep them there.
thing to do.
That's a
Yes.
Okay. That's not easy at all. So I think people have to
Right.
remind themselves what they bring to the table. You have to also remember that as well. Because it's hard to
Right.
ask
So you have to.
those questions that you have. I'm sorry. But it's hard to ask those
No,
questions, those follow-up questions, because I believe I'm queen of follow-up questions. But like,
yes,
it's hard to ask those questions if you don't know what you bring to the table. So I think that's important
Right.
that you said that.
Right. You have to embody, right? I, as a leader, especially if, I'm leading a team, but I'm still trying to incorporate this functional diversity. I have to embody the vision and the mission in my daily work, right?
Right.
So the expectation is, if I'm embodying the vision and the mission, I need to see the same thing with the team that I'm leading, especially if we are completing a project or a task where everyone has the autonomy, right? Before we execute the work, everyone has the autonomy to decide, which portion they're going to work on and how they're going to use their skill set. Nobody's micromanaging you. I don't believe in micromanagement. If you told me, if I've assessed your skill set and your strength is in this area and you said this is what I'm going to do with this strength or this gift, this talent or whatever, I'm trusting, like I said, that you can do it and that you will use this skill to complete the task, right? But so as I'm embodying this vision and this mission and I'm bringing it with me to my daily work, okay, if I notice that, someone on my team is not doing the same, that's just a matter of a conversation. But I don't want to, and it happens, and if it happens, it's fine. I don't want to be the reason why someone feels like or believes that they're not used to their maximum potential. I mean, to me, that's crazy. I was just
Yeah.
telling someone the other day, we were just talking about where they were, and I just said, believe it or not, I said, you have so many in the space that you're working in. I said, you are doing a lot, and because they told me, they said, I instead of being busy, I'm going to be effective. I'm with you. But to be effective, I need to tap into the skills that you have, that knowledge base that you have, that expertise, so you can feel fulfilled in the work that you're doing. And I definitely don't want to get caught out there as a leader, being a hindrance to someone not being fulfilled because I just feel like, what, they're doing well in this area. We've not had any problems, with them. They've always produced good work. Honestly, that's stifling a person. So
Yeah.
that embodiment of the vision, especially around functional diversity, that means that, okay, so listen, as a team, this is the project we have to do. All right, let's talk about it. Who's going to do what? At the end of this project, we have to have A, B, and C complete. Let's talk about who's going to do this portion of the project, or how is this going to look, so we can begin this collaboration in the space. So there has to be a collaborative mindset for this functional diversity to work. And if there's a collaborative mindset, I can assure you that you'll be able to detect the people in the space who really, really still want to operate from, I want to tell you what to do, right? Instead of giving you solutions. I'm not a believer in saying, okay, because I have to tell people all the time, ask me if they can give me feedback, or I'll ask you to provide me feedback, because what happens is some people just don't know how to provide feedback. and it can come off extremely harsh. And I've had to tell family members that, ask me if you can get it. And not only ask me, I am going to be very clear with you about how I want that feedback to sound so it can land well on me. Now, that's a part of collaboration in creating this collaborative mindset on a team, knowing that, for us to function well, for someone who's coming in the space of work trauma or the trauma from working in a different team within their organization, just having those things in place where people feel comfortable to let their guard down, to then start walking this journey with us around building these trusting, safe, respectful relationships. So, I mean, again, it's a hodgepodge of things, but I think that most importantly, if you're not knowledgeable of who your people are and what they're skilled at, if you are not effective with building, trusting, and respecting relationships, and if you don't have a collaborative mindset and are willing to communicate clearly with people, that functional diversity may not be incorporated well on a team because there's only one person in many spaces, and most likely they're not a leader, they're a boss who wants to tell people what to do. And I meant what I said, leader versus boss.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. So
they don't really want it.
That's true. So how would you encourage our listeners today? Like, what are 3 ways you would or 3 ways on how they can contribute to or functional diversity within their lives? Like, what are 3 ways they can start today to implement functional diversity into their daily practice? Yes, I'm giving some action steps. Thank you.
Yes.
The word wasn't
one.
Now, he's gonna give you the action. You're gonna give her information, but she want to know how to put it to use. So that's action step.
Yeah. So number 1, you have to desire collaboration. If you want to incorporate functional diversity, you have to desire collaboration. And meaning that I really want to work with you. I want to work with you with the best intentions, knowing that you have something to bring to the space that I can capitalize on, and knowing that I have something to bring to the space that, you can capitalize on, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's one. So a part of that is just this growth mindset, and that's the adaptive work that most people aren't willing to do. People are willing to stay in the technical space. Well, just give me step 1, step 2, step 3. In functional diversity, there's no step 1, step 2, there's step 3. It's adaptive work that takes time. It will not change overnight. This is not like a schedule change. This is us building systems and structures around effectively collaborating with people and capitalizing on strengths. And also understanding that, understanding my weaknesses. I'm not good at everything.
Yeah.
And being okay with that.
Being okay with that.
That's a growth mindset. Being okay with that. So having the desire to collaborate. And then secondly, let's just go back to within the collaboration, cultivating or fostering relationships where there's trust and respect. That's like being in a marriage or in any type of relationship where, trust normally is the first thing before love, right? I trust you, then love develops out of that love of trust, right? We can move this relationship forward to wherever we're trying to go, right? So same as a team, same within an organization. I can trust the work that you do, the knowledge and the skills that you bring to the table. And we can move forward as a team, and I can respect the work that you do, respect your knowledge, respect your skills, and not be intimidated by it. We can move this work forward. We can begin with this, cultivating this safe, trusting, respectful team relationship, camaraderie that many times friendships grow out of that level of a relationship in organizations or team spaces. So collaboration, desire to collaborate, cultivating safe, trusting, respectful relationships. And then the next thing is this, we got to have a goal. Like, we can do all of this work collaborating. We can build the finest, trusting, respectful relationship. But what are we working toward? What are we doing? I need to be, if we're going to capitalize and maximize all that's in me, where am I going with it? How am I using it? So having a goal, having an expectation that, going back to what Sheena said, that these skills, these talents, these gifts, these strengths are going to be taken advantage of positively in the workspace, right? And when I lead the workspace or when this project is done, whoo, smoke.
Yeah.
Right? But you use me up in a positive way.
Yeah.
And I want to be used up. I'm not, what are you paying me for? And not only so having a goal, so I'll know what I'm bringing to the space and how I'm bringing myself to that space. And then last but not least, empowerment goes back to, who benefits. Hopefully, we're all benefiting because I'm being empowered. I'm not being micromanaged. I heard a quote the other day, and the quote said, the function of a leadership is to create more leaders, right? And not followers. This goes beyond simply training people to follow orders. True leadership empowers others to think critically, solve problems, and take initiative. By fostering a culture of leadership development, a leader creates a ripple effect where each new leader inspires and empowers those around them. So if we all are just bringing different skill sets to the table, so if we are doing that, then I'm so empowered. When it's time for me to close the book in this chapter, or move on to another chapter, I am loaded. My arsenal is loaded with so many skill sets or the things that I've learned from other people. So I'm not only empowered by just the organization itself, I've been empowered in a small space with a team of people where I can go, at this point, Alkema Lewis is marketable, right? So you have the desire to collaborate. You have building this growth mindset, having a goal, trusting relationships or trusting in respectful relationships, and then empowerment. Everything that you do when it comes to functional diversity needs to lead to people being empowered to do, not just do more, but do things effectively. So that's it.
There you have it. Well, thank you. And I feel totally equipped to sit at any table. However, we want to get people even more empowered, more equipped, and more educated. So, Kima, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can, link up with you, how they can just gain so much knowledge that you have. Because we're in a functional diversity space, right? So I want, you're going to teach me. We're going to sit here and teach me and make me marketable. So tell me where they can find you.
So you can find me in various different spaces. You can find me on Instagram at the Alkema Lewis Consulting. No, that's not right. You can find me on Instagram at the A Lewis Consulting.
There we go.
You can find me on Facebook at Alkema Lewis Consulting. You can find me on LinkedIn at Alkema Lewis, and you can follow my business page, Alkema Lewis Consulting. Or you can subscribe to my website, which is alewisconsult.com. If you need any support, if you need me to come and facilitate some leadership development sessions, workshops, courses inside of your organization or your small business, I'm available. So visit me, send me a message. You can DM me, or you can just email me from my website. I'm available. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. This is great.
No problem, man.
Thank you so
I'm like
much.
so ready to re-listen to this, but I know how to walk into any space now. So I thank you. Kendra, I'm sure she thanks you. So
I absolutely thank you.
yes.
And if you haven't already, please sign up for Alkema's course, Creating a Highly Effective Team.
Yes.
You do that
August
it's
20th.
August 21st, right?
Yeah, and it's free. It's free.
Free course, y'all.
You gonna get
Listen,
all this
mind
for free?
changing.
Y'all gonna get all this for free. Come on now. It'll make no sense for her page not to be loaded.
It is free.
This
This is the
and
final
I'm
one.
excited about it because you don't have to have a business to utilize this. You don't have to. All you have to do is have a job. And to be honest, if you're working for yourself, that's a job. If you're breathing, that's a job. Because you can utilize these skills in building relationships, personal as well as professional relationships. So if you breathing,
Right.
you need to go ahead and sign up for that course.
This, and and I did add, and I know that we're about to end, but there are times inside of organizations where some organizations aren't equipped to build skill sets or to develop you in areas where you want to be developed in, and people work in spaces and oftentimes become apathetic or disgruntled. But if we are in a if functional diversity is being incorporated in the space, there is somebody inside of that space, somebody on your team that can help you develop a skill, right? And I've seen it happen. I've been in an organization where they could not, right? But there were people that I leaned on. Where do you lean in? That's what Shannon said. Where do you lean in? And sometimes you have to lean in to people in the space that you're in. They may not have a title at all that says manager or anything. They just may be someone on a lateral level as you. But leaning in, going outside of the box that you're in, and learning about what they did. And that taught me a lot, because I was in an organization where I absolutely learned just about everything inside of that organization. Why? Because I started working in different spaces. It really, honestly, I didn't see the benefit in the beginning, but it helped me see from a bird's eye view how the organization was functioning in different spaces that I was in. That I actually did learn a lot, and it helped me to build my skill set around leadership development. So just, when you think about functional diversity, many cases the person is sitting right next to you, or maybe on a different team doing something else that can help you build a skill.
Yeah. That's very true. Don't be afraid to ask, it comes back to that, don't be afraid to ask questions, those follow-up questions. Hey, I see that you do this. What can I learn from this? Or how can I apply that to what I currently do in this particular role that I have? So I think that is amazing. And y'all, if y'all want to learn more from Alkema, please go to her website, alewisconsult.com. She already shared it, but go follow her on all of her platforms. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel as well if you want to see more content like this. The podcast, we are the Power Suite podcast on YouTube, and we're also on Instagram, same thing, the Power Suite podcast. And join the network. Become a part of our network.
Yes,
We have
join the network.
something coming up in September. Y'all, it's going to be so fly, kind of unique. It's going to be on James Island. We're going to have food. I'm a foodie. So we're going to have some food involved, but it's healthy food. So listen, don't miss out.
We'll
Look for the announcements. You won't see information on my page, on our website, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. We're going to have shirts about it. We're going to have no, I was playing. We won't have shirts about it.
Oh, and I do go live every Wednesday for the Wisdom Wednesday live for leaders. So just make sure you join in if you have an opportunity, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, PM, not AM, PM Eastern Standard Time. But I'll be online every Wednesday for about 30, 45 minutes, just giving some tips and nuggets about just topics that people have asked me about. And the topic for Wednesday, August 14th, is leadership transition. How to prepare for leadership transition. It's going to be good, y'all. So join in.
Okay.
Ooh, I'll be tuning into
right.
that. So y'all heard it here first. Okay, y'all heard it here first. So we're gonna go ahead and close out. If you haven't already. Say what? What happened? What happened?
Get your behind on that website. Y'all know we always gonna bring you back to Charleston, right? Get your behind on that dang website.
Get your behind on
it. What you waiting on? Where is it?
Gotta go on and do it.
Hey, go on ahead. We gotta wait on.
Go on
ahead.
I love y'all, man.
Love y'all too.
It's just great to be able to be yourself, but also be able to be empowered, inspired, learn how to, develop those relationships, etc. So, I hope you guys got a notebook, because if you didn't, head up on Spotify and listen to the replay. And
we said a lot.
Yes. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
We see y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.